Today, we will talk about paws and personality, understanding the behavioral traits of dogs. The cute ones, the fiery ones, the long-eared ones, or the big-sized ones. Every doggo has their own personality. Starting from the time when they are puppies to the time they grow into mature adults, doggos show different personality traits. However, there are some behavior patterns that every pet parent faces at one time or another. If you're wondering why does your doggo show a certain behavior, remember that you are not the only one. Communication is the key to understanding and building a healthy bond with your furry friend. In order to do that, you have to understand the causes of certain dog behaviors, and only then can you work a way out to keep them in check. Recent studies from Queen's University Belfast in Ireland sought to identify the relationship between limb bias and gender in cats, as well as how paw preference might be used to identify personality traits in dogs. Cat's choice. For the first study, published recently in Animal Behavior, 24 male and 20 female mixed breed, neutered cats ranging in age from 1 to 17 were studied in their individual homes using owner-collected data. This was done to ensure that the gathered information reflected cats as they went about their normal tasks. Cats' lateral preferences were assessed using two approaches: an experimental, forced food reaching test, in which food was placed inside a 3-tier feeding tower, and observations of 3 spontaneous behaviors: stepping down, stepping over, and sleeping. Most of the cats showed a paw preference when reaching for food, 73%, stepping down, 70%, and stepping over, 66%, and the preference for right and left was consistent for most tasks. In all instances, female cats showed a substantial preference for using their right paw, while males were more inclined to use their left paw. The only exception was that neither male nor female cats showed a side preference while sleeping. Related. Dogs may be smarter than cats, but which animal is the smartest? New insights into the phantom complex for small animals. The authors noted that previous studies have shown a male-female split in both dogs and cats, that this was the first study of its kind to show that spontaneous actions were related to gender. According to the investigators, their study provided the first evidence that the domestic cat displays motor laterality on specific spontaneous behaviors, notably those involving limb use. For future studies, the authors recommend exploring other forms of lateral bias in addition to limb preference as an indicator of cerebral asymmetry. Exploring lateral biases beyond limb preference may further our understanding of cerebral functioning in non-human species, they wrote. Dogs' disposition. The second study explored whether limb preference testing might offer a faster approach for identifying dogs predisposed to having a negative mindset. Dogs were chosen as the study group because they have been shown to display both lateralized motor bias in the form of paw preference, as well as positive and negative emotions. First, limb preference was determined by observing 30 mixed-breed dogs as they stabilized a Kong ball with their paws to retrieve food. Each dog was tested individually in its own home. Investigators recorded how the left and right paws were used for this purpose. 1 month after the paw preference test, the dogs were brought to the university's Animal Behavior Center for a second test. While there, the dogs were trained to learn the position of a bowl that contained food and the position of a bowl devoid of food. Once the dogs successfully made the association between which bowl would have food, the bowls with and without food were moved to different locations. The goal was to determine whether dogs ran as quickly to the empty bowl as to the baited bowl at the same location, and whether they were hopeful or discouraged about the likelihood of finding food there. From the results, researchers concluded that dogs that favor their right paws tend to be more optimistic. Alternatively, dogs that were more strongly left-pawed were slower to approach the food bowl in its new location and deemed to have a more negative outlook. These findings were in line with the previous understanding that the right hemisphere of the brain is responsible for processing fearful information and encouraging withdrawal. Therefore, left-limbed individuals, which are more right hemisphere dominant, are more likely to be fearful. The authors concluded that the ability to use simple tests to determine paw preference and related pessimism or optimism would enable appropriate interventions to be put in place with the aim of improving animal well-being. Animal shelter environments are one example of where this testing may be useful. Paw preference testing might be of use in this context, allowing kennel staff to identify animals at heightened risk from developing behavioral or physiological symptoms of stress, the authors wrote. Mistakes pet parents make that encourage dog misbehavior. One important thing to keep in mind is that dog behavior problems are not just their fault, but also for some mistakes that pet parents make. Just like children, dogs are also learning with their humans every moment. There are a lot of things people do unknowingly that encourage behavioral problems. The top 3 mistakes would be: 1. Inadequate exercise. When dogs fail to get enough exercise, they tend to indulge themselves in activities that will burn their energy. This pent-up energy is then used to bite your cushions and shoes, scratch the walls, steal food, or dig up the garden. A quick 5-minute walk outside every day is not enough exercise for your doggo, so make sure you provide them with adequate physical activity and movement. You can make the sessions fun by adding some games and nutritious treats in it. 2. Insufficient training. Making your doggo learn to sit, lie, and use the washroom is not the end of their training. As the saying goes that there is no end to learning. Try teaching a new command or a trick to your doggo every week, while practicing the older ones. This would not only create a healthy relationship between you, but also the mental work involved in it would tire your doggo and prevent any unwanted behavior. 3. Reinforcing bad behaviors. What do you do when you see your dog misbehaving? Do you simply yell at them and then let them do it again? If you see your pooch stealing from your plate and you just shout at them but let them have the food, your doggo will know that they can get away with this behavior. Always check dog behavior problems from the very beginning and do not reward them for it. When they try stealing from your plate, stop them and give the command to sit down and wait nearby. When they do so, then reward them, and your doggo will learn which behaviors will get them treats and hugs. Help your doggo overcome behavioral problems with the goodness of Dogsy treats. Dogsy dog treats are as pure as your love, without any preservatives and adulteration. Sourced from the Himalayas, Dogsy treats are 100% natural, grain, and gluten-free treats that not just provide nutrition to your doggos, but also help with their training sessions. 4. Jumping on people. Jumping on people to greet them comes naturally to dogs, but it may scare people who are not used to it. It gets all the more embarrassing when dogs display signs of humping and mounting with your guests. To tackle this behavioral problem, turn away from your doggo when they are jumping on you. Try to ignore them until they have their paws on the floor. Once they do so, then only greet/pet them. You can also command them to sit, and then pat or give them a treat as a reward. This would teach your doggo gradually to keep their excitement in control, especially when visitors or guests come to the house. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.